Hello and welcome to an information session on Protandim Nrf2, a natural supplement which is phenomenal and it's changing the way that we view health and wellness. My name is Gail Pearson. I'm a specialist doctor practicing as an anaesthetist in New Zealand, and it's my pleasure to bring you some in-depth science today to look at the scientific products that we have and to have a look in the in-depth papers that we have as well. So what is Protandim Nrf2? Well, 5 natural ingredients: milk thistle, which we know is a great liver cleanser; bacopa and ashwagandha, ancient Ayurvedic herbs. Bacopa often for mental clarity, focus, decreasing brain fog. Ashwagandha is used for hormonal balance as well as general well-being. Green tea, which we know is a great antioxidant, and turmeric, which is a great anti-inflammatory, which is pretty popular at the moment. So put together in very small concentrations here, we've got the milk thistle, bacopa, turmeric, green tea, and ashwagandha. Very small concentrations put together in a way that they are very effective at the Nrf2 pathway, which I'll get on to explaining shortly. So you might have seen there in the ingredients that there's some caffeine in it. That's from the green tea leaf extract, but it's very small. In fact, it's even smaller than caffeine-free coffee. It doesn't contain any animal byproducts. It's vegetarian, free from gluten, wheat, dairy, gelatin, and yeast. And milk thistle is actually a plant. It's not got anything to do with milk at all. This formula has been patented, and it's been patented for a long time, ever since it came out, and it's a very robust formula. And together, these 5 ingredients work better than the individual agents alone. So we just look at this graph here and we look at the horizontal axis. What they've got is the individual ingredients and their effects on the vertical axis, which is an enzyme called heme oxygenase. So when we take ashwagandha, bacopa, green tea, milk thistle, and turmeric all individually, they have very little effect. But if we put all 5 ingredients together as a Protandim formula, look what we get. We get 18 times more effective induction of that enzyme than the individual agents alone. 18 times more effective than the individual agents alone. So it works synergistically. It's working as a compound that is made up of several things that works more effectively than the individual agents alone. Now, I get a lot of questions about FDA, and being a doctor, I understand about the FDA, but I'd like to talk about FDA and dietary supplements, because dietary supplements do not have to be FDA approved. However, they have to be registered with the FDA. And the FDA is more concerned with making sure that all of the claims that are made for a dietary supplement are true, and that the manufacturing process has all been done in accordance with good manufacturing processes. LifeVantage, the company which produces Protandim Nrf2, actually exceeds these good manufacturing processes, and it establishes its purity of all the individual ingredients through independent laboratory testing and auditing. So it's got a very comprehensive quality system, and it's very robust. So robust that it's been given a lot of ticks. The National Sanitation Foundation, the blue diagram in the middle, that only uses FDA approved raw materials. It's been approved by the Australian TGA, which is very strict. And it's also okay for the Olympic athletes or elite athletes. It is a BSCG approved, so it's safe for professional athletes. Let's have a look now to see how it works. The name of Nrf2 is nuclear factor, erythroid factor 2 related factor 2. So it's actually a factor that exists within the cell, near the cell wall in the cytoplasm. It was discovered in 1994, and I want to take you through just simply in a schematic diagram about how Nrf2 actually works within the cell. And if we look at this diagram here and we go to number 1 with the little lightning bolts, that's talking about oxidative stress. Now, oxidative stress, if you're not aware, damaging cells from oxygen reactive species. And we get oxygen reactive species or oxygen free radicals when we basically live. They come from the pollutants in our life, the toxins in our life, and they damage cells. And this is one of the big theories of aging. And it was the first well-established theory of aging as well. The orange sort of round ellipse is the cell wall, and the cytoplasm where KEAP1 is what a protein that the Nrf2 is attached to. Now, when Nrf2 is stimulated, what happens is it dissociates from the KEAP1 protein, and it translocates into the nucleus. The nucleus is that blue ellipse that you can see in the center of the field. And that Nrf2 factor, it stimulates what they call an antioxidants response element, ARE. This in turn stimulates genetics or genes that manufacture certain types of antioxidant enzymes. And here we've got an example of NQO1 and HO1. When they are stimulated, they are told to produce the proteins or the antioxidants responsible for cell protection and for cell cleansing, and they stop the process of oxidative stress. What's more is when you are fully Nrf2 activated, it acts as a protective mechanism. So anything that comes into the cell, the Nrf2 is there ready to pounce, as it were, on any stress or toxin that comes around. Protandim Nrf2 has had lots of independent studies, and I'm saying independent. These are universities, these are medical schools, these are places that have been looking at Protandim specifically. They are not company driven, they are independent studies. We've got at least 28, and now there's probably another couple as well which are just about to be published. This is just a small list of some of them. So it's got very robust publishing, which have been published on a site called pubmed.gov. And that's the peer-reviewed place where all of the journal articles and all of the studies go to be published in the US. It's very difficult to get a study onto pubmed.gov because it's looked by all of the colleagues that are into whatever the science is behind it. So these are robust studies. The first study I want to look at, and I'm only just going to look at 4 studies today because I feel this gives you an overview about Protandim Nrf2 and about Nrf2 activation. So this is a study by Nelson and in 2006, and she looked at the induction of an enzyme called superoxide dismutase and catalase in healthy individuals. So what she did is she took 29 people aged from 20 to 78, and she took blood tests at day 0, day 30, and day 120. When she did it, she took it for a specific peroxidase called, it's a T-bars test, and it tests specifically for oxidative stress. As you'd understand, the people who were older had a higher level of oxidative stress when they had day 1 test or day 0 test than the people who were younger. But what she found after 30 days, and if you look at this graph, the horizontal axis is the days on Protandim from 0 to 30, and then the vertical axis is what the T-bar concentration was. You can see that this is the whole population. So every single person, no matter what your age was, decreased oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. So it didn't matter if you were 29 or if you were 78, your oxidative stress levels decreased. Then she had a look at these specific enzymes, catalase and superoxide dismutase, and this is what she found. She found that the days on the supplement on the horizontal axis and the catalase and the SOD on the vertical axis, look at what she found. The SOD, or the superoxide dismutase, an antioxidant enzyme that you are producing in your own cell, increased by 30%. Catalase increasing by 54%. So this means that you are actually making your own antioxidant enzymes in every single cell of your body, and that's extremely powerful. So what do we take away from this study? So we see that Protandim Nrf2 reduces oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. SOD, an antioxidant enzyme, is increased by 30%, and catalase, also an antioxidant enzyme, is increased by 54%. Let's look at another study. This one's from Hibbertson in 2011, And what he looked at is the effects of oxidative stress in health and disease and how good Nrf2 activation was. He compared protandim Nrf2 to the gold standard, or what was the gold standard at that time, which is sulforaphane. And we know that sulforaphane is found in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, and it's been used as a dietary supplement up till now, and it's always been thought to be very, very effective. Let's have a look at the comparison between sulforaphane and protandim. So if you look at these four graphs, I want you to have a look first of all at the one on the bottom right. This is the sulforaphane graph in terms of how much it can increase Nrf2 activation. It's a 21-fold increase, and this is the gold standard. Let's look at protandim up on the top left. You can see the bell curve is much higher. It's a 135-fold increase. So we can see that protandim is much, much more effective at Nrf2 activation than sulforaphane is. So that wasn't all. He extended this to looking at specific genes and specific genes that were in disease states. We know that the Nrf2 is a master genetic regulator, so it doesn't just work at antioxidant genes, it works at over 500 other genes. So let's have a look to see what he did. And this is a little bit busy, but basically what he did, and there are 3 pages of specific genes here. He looked at the genes and, for example, atherosclerosis, which is thinning of the blood vessels, important in ischemic heart disease. He saw that there were 19 genes associated with that. If you look at the first 14, in the disease process, those genes were all increased. When they were bathed in a solution of protandim, what he found was that those genes were actually decreased by whatever it is, and the fold changes on the right-hand side. So what we have got is downregulation of bad genes, and below we have upregulation of the good genes. So that's how it works as a master genetic regulator. It upregulates the good genes and downregulates the bad genes. Please have a look at this paper if you want to have a look at individual genes. So the takeaways from this study: no other substance has comparable Nrf2 activation, and it works at multiple genes as a master genetic regulator. Next, I want to have a look at a study which is from 2015 from Paul, and this came from the University of Washington State. It looked at Nrf2, so basically it was a review, and there were 141 references to this. So they took all sorts of papers to have a look at Nrf2 and what it actually does. Nrf2, a master regulator of detoxification and also an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and having other cytoprotective mechanisms. And what they were looking at is how can you increase Nrf2? They looked at diets, they looked at places calorie restriction, they looked at exercise. And if you looked at the bottom yellow circle, I've just shown you what they actually found that Nrf2 increase did. As we said before, it produces antioxidant proteins. It's responsible for mitochondrial biogenesis. Now, those are the little bean-like structures that give us the energy in the cell. Detoxification, autophagy, which is replacing old and diseased organelles within the cell, and lowers inflammation. So they found that it actually stimulated 500 genes. Powerful stuff. And what was their conclusion? Their conclusion was that Nrf2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. In our opinion, raising Nrf2 is likely to be the most important health-promoting approach in the foreseeable future. So they could understand what Nrf2 was doing. We have a product which stimulates Nrf2, which is scientifically proven to do so. And join the dots. Nrf2 is the way of the future. The last study I want to show you is a study from 2009, which talks about heme oxygenase and talks specifically with protandim and what it does. Now, we've talked about superoxide dismutase and catalase, which we know are great antioxidant enzymes, But what about glutathione? Glutathione is a buzzword these days because that's the master antioxidant enzyme. And this is what they found in this study, that Protandim Nrf2 increases glutathione by 200 to 300%. Now, we can't take glutathione orally because it's degraded in the stomach. It's a very simple molecule. And there have been all sorts of ways to try and increase your glutathione to have maximum antioxidant effect. If you can do it by 200 to 300% by taking a natural supplement, it's an easy way to maintain health and wellness. So how can we learn about oxidative stress? Please go to pubmed.gov. As you can see, if you type in oxidative stress, you'll see over 250,000 entries or studies on oxidative stress. You can even type in oxidative stress and your health concern, and that will give you an insight as to what oxidative stress is responsible in terms of modern day medical conditions. And in summary, I'd just like to say, why do you think you should take Protandim Nrf2? Basically, because everybody these days have oxidative stress. And we know oxidative stress is one of the theories of aging. It's one of the most established theories of aging. Protandim Nrf2 is the only product in the market that's been scientifically shown by independent studies to reduce oxidative stress. It's made of natural ingredients that work together more than the individual compounds. And it's affordable and it's accessible to everybody. And basically, I think, why not? Why wouldn't you? It's easy. Thank you for your time today. And if you have any further questions, please go back to the person who recommended you to this video.